Finally, it's actually working. Look at that. God damn. It's awesome. Here's a presentation that I've been meaning to give for a while, but I haven't. I've just put it together, so let's see what we can do. So this video is going to be about how I reverse engineered the app of a cheap drone from Kmart. So I got this drone from Kmart, and I really want to get the live feed from the video. It's a little Wi-Fi camera, so it creates a Wi-Fi network, and you connect to it with your phone, and then you use that app to stream the video from your drone, right? And for well, what didn't used to be $50, I think I got it for $30. But for $30, it's not too bad to be able to get a little device that live streams. Maybe just for testing purposes, like I'm really interested in um, running some machine learning models on the output of this camera while the drone flies around. Um, but anyway, to be able to do that, I need my computer to be able to access the camera from this drone. But right now you can only access it from that app, right? From this Sky Wi-Fi drone app. So let me do a laser pointer. So yeah, so this app here, you need to be able to watch that Wi-Fi video. You can't go on your computer or they don't tell you how to do that. So what am I going to do? I need to turn the app, right, into code. And that's like an APK file is what the app is. Um, and this is the app. So what do? I need to reverse engineer the app basically. So open the APK and take a look at the code. And so one of the ways you can do that is with this thing called JADX, or whatever you call it. I asked ChatGPT, this is what it said to use, and it looks pretty good. And so I downloaded that one from the GitHub, followed the instructions. What I'm looking to do is extract the code, like the Java code for the Android app to see what it's doing in there. And so I was hoping that that would tell me all the answers right away. Some people might ask, why not packet sniff, which is monitor the Wi-Fi. So when I'm on my phone, this is an approach people might use, is they'll go onto their phone, they'll connect to the drone, start the Wi-Fi stream, like start the video stream so that it starts coming to their phone, and they've recorded all the packets. So maybe they use a packet monitor on their phone, or maybe they use something like Wireshark to sniff the packets from on the network. But I've tried this. I couldn't get it to work because the drone only connects to one device at a time, which means I couldn't connect with my laptop or something to sniff the packets like that. The device itself would have to have it. So I tried a packet recorder on my phone, so that while I click the button to start the stream, it records those packets, and I try to copy them. I couldn't get this to work. The initialization packets, I just couldn't find them because the video feed would just spam it, and I don't know. Maybe I'm a noob at getting packets off my phone, but I didn't really know what I couldn't figure that out. So I just wanted to try a legit reverse engineering approach because I've never used those tools and wanted to do that for the first time. But firstly, I need the APK file, and it was on my phone, so I could have tried to take it off my device, but my phone doesn't let me do that because I'm on the Google Advanced Security thing. So I need to just download this APK file for the app. So I was just trusting this APK Pure site because I'm not running it. I'm just downloading it to look inside of it. So I just downloaded it from this weird website. And you don't want to click the ad. You want to click this one here. But anyway, I downloaded it. I eventually got the app because I needed it on my computer to be able to inspect it using JADX. So I installed JADX here. I've run it and I've opened this file in it, which is the APK for the Sky Wi-Fi drone app. And then it has shown me essentially what I can see here. This is what I've gone in and looked at. I've just kind of clicked around because I hadn't used this before, and I went through here and I saw Wi-Fi camera and device. I think the Wi-Fi camera mentioned this device, and I was in here looking around and mentioned a few things of interest. But these were of interest here. This 20,000 number, start record, some functions. Anyway, and this package here. So we'll get more into what is inside of it. So I've looked inside the Wi-Fi camera, which is a Java file here inside the app, and seeing these things here. I didn't know to look in here, by the way. I've just kind of clicked around until I saw some things called Wi-Fi, and I've searched for Wi-Fi, and I've found these files here. Because it's a Wi-Fi camera drone, right? So anyway, yep. And so eventually, I found this Joy Camera device thing here. So it's using this library called Joy Camera, as you can see here, package com Joy Honest Joy Camera SDK. Because if we go back here, you can see that's what they're using here for the device. That's where they're getting the device information and functions from, or where they're referencing them from. Um, but basically, it looks like we need to use this library thing, and I'm like, where the heck do we find that? And I couldn't find it in the APK all the way until I finished everything and then came back, because I didn't know how to look for things. But the first thing that I actually did, this is what I did the first time I did it, because I did it a second time to check how I understand how I did everything. The first time I did it, I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna look it up. So I just looked up Joy Camera GitHub basically, and I found that there's this SDK here, um, and they tell you how to use it. It doesn't give you the code for the library. It doesn't give you the code for this Joy Camera, but it does actually have inside of this, if I went into there somewhere, into Joy Camera libs, that's where I went. And then I found these two things here, which both contained libjoycamera.so. And I knew it would be a .so file because I asked ChatGPT and it said, yeah, the library files will be this .so file. And so I needed to find where these were. And I couldn't find them in the APK the first time I tried because I don't really know how to use JADX at the time. And anyway, I found these on the GitHub and I was like, oh, excellent. I'll just use those. They're probably the same, which they did happen to be basically the same. Um, and the difference is just 64-bit versus 32-bit. So just that's kind of in the name. And yeah. But then, in hindsight, when I went over the project after I've solved everything, I realized, hey, when you actually open the summary in JADX of the APK, it actually tells you what the libraries were and where they are. So it actually tells you right here that in the config, so inside the app, in lib, armyb v7a, there's the .so file. And so I've actually, you know, I missed it originally. So instead of looking in the com, if I went to resources lib, in the resources, I looked over this file because I was looking in this Sky Wi-Fi drone one. Didn't think it would be in this one, and all the other ones were languages, so I kind of overlooked this folder. But anyway, I should have just read it here from the summary. I should have read native libs, so now I know to do that and to look for this lib because the libs are going to be where your libraries are hiding, compiled libraries, I should say. And anyway, so that's where it was, and so you can just extract it from here. Right? You can just right-click save it to get that file out from the to get that out of your JADX. But if you do try to open it in JADX, it's compiled file, so it's like completely useless. It's like in binary or something. I don't know. Anyway, I should know, but I don't. I don't know the exacts. I studied it at some point, but I can't remember. But anyway, we need to investigate it and how to do this. So I asked AI what I should do, etc. And the first thing I did was I did follow the ChatGPT recommendations. I'm asking these questions in hindsight, by the way, for a lot of these screenshots because I was just following the instructions at the time and trying to, ask questions about them. And it would take me too long to go back and find all those messages. So here I've got libjoycamera.so, and I've done a grep on it to look for the term socket. So basically what I've done is I've done for all the strings inside that file, because it's all compiled, but there's going to be some strings in there. And then what you do, you put it through grep, and it's looking for the word socket. And the same thing, you do the same thing, but for send to. And basically the reason it's done that is because ChatGPT said, okay, it's sending Wi-Fi packets or something like that. We need to find where it's doing that. Typically when it's doing that, it'll have some sort of string saying send to or socket. And then when I've run that, it's given me a bunch of outputs, which I've given back to ChatGPT, and it's highlighted a few main ones, which are these. Read 20,000, read 20,001, and most importantly, send CMD UDP. And that's like a generic function header, which is probably going to be pretty useful if you had to take a guess, right? And so that was this one. Um, and so that's good enough to know that there's some useful functions in there, which we obviously know that's where they're going to be hiding because they weren't in the APK itself, in the JADX like view of things on the APK file. So we need to get this thing called Ghidra. It's like the software. This is the overview. The NSA made it or whatever, and you basically use it to analyze compiled files like exes or .sos or whatever. Um, Basically anything that looks like this when you try to open it, then that's what you're going to need to use Ghidra for. And it basically it does a lot of the reverse engineering for you. It takes all that and turns it into its guess of what the functions would look like. And it's got some pretty advanced techniques in that, and that is available to the public, luckily. Without that, it would be a very hard job. Anyway, you got to install this. It takes some work, and you've got to install all the bits separately because that's just how they made it. So just make sure you follow a tutorial or very strictly follow the README, reboot if you need to, whatever. It just takes a bit of time, so be aware that yeah, you got to do that properly. Anyway, once you get it working, you can open your Hydra, go in there, and then open the file. So I've opened up that one there, the 32, it's detected it's 32-bit for ARM. It's an ELF, great. That's what we want. Tells you some information about it over here, great. And then anyway, it says, do you want to analyze it? And I go, well, yes, because I don't know anything about that. So you analyze it. Kidra analyzes it. I'm like, great, now I've got all this crap. What am I going to look at? Well, we know that this send CMD UDP will be useful most likely, thanks to that little grep we did. So let's chuck that in the filter over here. I'm going to just even look. I'm not even going to do send CMD UDP. I'm just going to look for UDP. I want to see everything that is UDP related. And we're also pretty sure it's UDP because when I did try and packet sniff it at some point on my phone, a lot of it was UDP. So I'm pretty confident at this point I've got to look at UDP related stuff. So there it is, SandCMD, UDP, as well as a bunch of other things we might want to look at. But let's just have a look here. Back in the JADX, you can see that when it's talking about things here, it's talking on ports 20,000. It's also talking about 20,001. So those two ports are probably pretty important, and it is UDP as well here. You can see B Java UDP, so big hints there. And this is from the APK itself in the JADX. So we've got a pretty good idea that it's going to be UDP on those two ports. And we know the IP will be this because it's default gateway. So if you've not gone into ipconfig before, go into ipconfig on your computer, type it in, and it'll give you an output of the default gateway. And this is what I got when my computer was connected to the drone. So this is the address you're going to be using. So to talk to the drone, if you had to take a guess, we're probably using UDP on ports 20,000 and 20,001 and on this IP address. So that's got some good information on where we're sending it to or what we're listening from or something like that. But we don't really know, well, what do we actually send it? What do we do to get it to start sending the video? So, well, let's see where they send commands because the send cmd UDP function is just to send commands. It's not really to, well, that's what we would guess it would do, right? That's what the name says. But we don't know that for sure, but that's what we're hoping it will do. And so the function itself has not really much information for us. It's just sending stuff. But we want to see what is sending these commands. So we kind of want to see the references to this. And so the way to do that is to right click on it over here and then show references. And then it goes, oh, yep, these are the references over here. These are a few things. And we go, oh, yeah, well, what one of them's going to have all the references? Well, you have a look through them yourself. You can click through them. But I was like, oh, well, this one here, this thing called a thunk. You go, oh, yeah, label, CMD, yep. Let's have a look at that. And then you go and have a look at it. And it goes, oh, yeah, here's all your external references, or I think that's what it means. Just call them xrefs, I guess. I don't know. I think they mean external, but it might just mean references. I couldn't tell you. But anyway, here's all the references of things that are relevant. Set device mode, don't really care about that. Status, don't care about that. Receive video data, that's probably pretty useful. But this init is probably the main thing because what I've noticed from my packet analysis when I did that previously was that once you start the video, it just keeps going. So there's some sort of initialization that you do, and then that just starts sending video, no worries. So we need to get this, do this in it. That's the main thing here. Yeah, so it sounds important. So let's have a look at it, filter for it in the thing, and open it up. And then when you open it up, it'll show you on the right hand side of Ghidra what it thinks that the logic of it was. And then, oh, yep, here you go. Here's the IP default gateway. Matches exactly what we saw on our computer for our default gateway. But another thing you can take note from here is these things here. This start read on 20,000, 2001. And if you go to this function, you filter for it and then go to it and look what it does. It calls each of these individually. So each of these I need to have a look at individually. So you go and have a look at these individually. That's this one and that's this one. And so on 20,000, it does some actions, and then on some 20,001, it does some actions. So it depends which one of these it happens to do, but both of these have some specific things that it's going to be doing. And then going back to the init. Oh, well, sorry. So yeah, going back to the F init, because I've just had a look at those ones there and I've given them to ChatGPT just so it knows. But I've gone back to F init to have a bit better of a look. And we can get a lot of information out of this. So as you can see, what ChatGPT's diagnosed here, it's actually got some information here. So it's actually saying that the data port after you've done all this on UDP for the MPEG is on this port 10900. So basically, you can see here that for the TCP protocol, it's using port 8080, which is for a H28. You can see it there. But for a UDP, which is what we're looking for, it's on 10900 MPEG, MJPEG. And you go, oh, okay, how did you figure that out? And you go, oh, yeah, well, let's have a look here. We go, oh, yeah, data port. So if you take this number here, that's good to know. That data port right there. And then the data port right here. So I didn't highlight this one, but both of these here tells you right here. So your data port and your data port. So one of them will be 8080 if you translate it, one of them will be 10900. And if you click these, Ghidra actually tells you all the different values of what it could be. If you just click on those values, it does like an auto translation of all the things it could mean. Does all the the typical conversions you might do. So that's good. Those are good numbers to know. And you might wonder, how do we know that MPEG, or like how do we know that this data type of 2 or 0 or 1 or whatever, how do we know what these mean? Well, we know what these mean because in some of the other code, it essentially tells you, like there'll be like a function or something called MPEG or this or that, and it is associated with one of those numbers. And then here, so we use the UDP. So we're doing this, and ChatGPT figures out the packet, but you can work the packet out yourself because it puts together the packets here. So you can see what packets it's putting together here for that one. And then there's a packet somewhere else that it puts together. I can't see it here, but it puts together a packet somewhere else. But anyway, so that's where you see this from. Oh yeah, but just to note, some of these analyses might have different values to what I'm showing you on the screenshot. So if it doesn't all line up, don't worry. I actually did this. I went on Ghidra twice. I did one on the 64-bit one and one on the 32-bit one. So some of the screenshots are misaligned because I'm just copying them from what I sent to my mate Michael. So some of them might be 32-bit, like ChatGPT, but the screenshot might be from the 64-bit. So it might be like slightly aligned if the numbers don't exactly match up. But you get the premise of what we were looking at here. And then so another thing we want to have a look at was the connected camera thing, and you go, okay, how do we know to look at the connected camera thing? I'm pretty sure it was on here somewhere. Connected camera, and you go, oh, that sounds good to know. Consetted camera, if you see that, consetted camera, bit of a typo, so you love that. And so you go and look in the consetted camera file, you go and filter for that, open it up, take a look, and it actually tells you, this is the one for the TCP. This is the one for the UDP. So I think that's where we got that information from. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, so that is good to know regarding that information, which told us the TCP UDP, which I believe was for the over here. Yeah, so that's how we know which one. Um, yeah, so that's good. And then yeah, ChatGPT is just really good. So I've given it all this information from the relevant files, and then one thing we needed to know, I'll show you a video right now of when I got to this point and I tested it, and I actually got the video feed coming through. All right, so now you've watched that video. The video feed looks kind of wrong. It's not quite right. So we've had to go in and have a bit of a better look here. So from the connected camera, we've then gone and looked at this function for receiving the video data, and we've had a proper look at it. So we've had the init uh, fmeg mjpeg function of how they actually send it across. From that, ChatGPT is very good, and it's figured out exactly how it um, the structure in which the packet is sent, I guess, right? Because you could tell from the video, because it was getting most of it, that's good, but it was almost like the length of the packets was wrong or something, you know. And so it's figured out how that information gets sent across from the file, great. And we've put together an AI tester. The AI has generated me like a tester script, because I wanted a tester script just to try connecting to it, not to see the video, but just to see if I can get some packets back. Um, and then what we've realized is that these packets, when you decrypt them, the FD ones we couldn't really figure out, but the JHC ones for the video, we realized that probably means joy honest command, CMD. So joy honest command. So that's why that starting tag isn't necessarily random, and then these ones on the end is just the number of the command most likely or something like that. So that's interesting enough. But basically, you send your commands out on your 2000s or your 2001s, and then your actual 10900 is where you listen for your video packets. So that's how that works. You listen for that from your yeah, from a few packets from that one. And then yeah, so I was like, oh yep, create me a viewer script, bro, and got a viewer script out of it after a couple goes, so you can see the video port comes out of a different port to what you're talking to it on, which makes sense. Finally, it's actually working. Look at that. God damn. It's awesome. It should have audio, but I don't need audio. Um, and yeah, I mean, probably not all the commands are useful. I'd imagine probably only these start video ones and the set the mode are really probably relevant. No, I haven't tested with some of them. I haven't tried removing them to see the bare minimum, but I'm not really interested in that. I got it working, and that's all I wanted to do. Um, if I really want to dive into it, I probably could, but at the time, I just wanted it done with and wanted to make this video, so you know. And yeah, so thanks for listening. Um, just I hope you I just hopefully I just played the video of it working, so I was pretty happy to get that working. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. Any questions, let me know in the comments. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know. But yeah, just thought I'd share some information on how I did that. Anyway, thanks. See you.